Welcome back to Unplugged with Buddyred. Let's get into it. Yo, good morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome back to Unplugged with Buddyred. I'm your host, Buddyred, and today with us we have one of my all-time favorite Canadian content creators, an entertaining, sarcastic variety streamer on the rise with a wide range of topics and entertainment, almost daily on Twitch, ranging from terrible takes on food and hilarious, entertaining content, curating an environment where everyone is welcome and engaging in community. From the first time streaming back in 2022 as a one-off and now streaming consistently since April of 2024 with many community gaming nights and running a community Minecraft server, Khiller is a great option of content to wrap up your evenings. Welcome to the podcast, Khiller. Welcome in, buddy.
Thank you very much. That's tremendous. That was an amazing intro. I feel like you've really nailed a good summary of what we got going on here. The fact that I'm one of your favorite Canadian content creators is a pretty big plus. I mean, got some pretty big names there, so I'll take that as a pretty big win. So thank you very much.
Don't let it go to your head.
I mean, again, with the lack of hair that we got going on right now, you can actually probably see the head actually grow with an ego growing like that. So I'll try my best not to.
So to get this started off, I think the best way would be to just start with your overall background with gaming and whatever life events you want to share. It's like, what got you into gaming, and then tie that into eventually what got you into content creation recently.
Okay, so be prepared for a long-winded answer. My gaming history is a little bit different than a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people in similar circles that we're a part of have been gaming for 20, 30 years for most of their life. I didn't start gaming until late middle school, maybe early high school, when I got a GameCube. And I was able to play Super Mario Strikers. And that's all I played. I wanted a game console long before that, but just was never able to get one. And we didn't have a TV for a lot of years growing up, so it wasn't even really an option. So didn't really start gaming until, again, early high school. And it was just Super Mario Strikers. I didn't get another console until grade 12. It was my graduation present that I ended up having to pay for myself. I never got the money back, but that's a story for another day. So all I did was play NHL games and some NBA games, and basically played just GM mode. I didn't play anything else. There was no shooters or anything. And then I eventually played Fallout 3, which I guess is kind of a shooter, but not really. And
still a solid game, though.
So good. And fun story about that, I didn't know you could fast travel, because this was my first actual game.
You're full noob.
Man, I spent hundreds of hours just walking. I thought it was great because I got so immersed in the game. And it's tough for me to play other games now because I don't have that. And it's also tough not to do the fast travel. So I'm in a weird spot when it comes to RPGs like that. But after Fallout, I didn't really start playing again until Fortnite, basically. And that was my first shooter with the air quotes. But that's kind of where it started from. And another life event, I guess you could say. Eastside Hockey Manager, NHL Eastside Hockey Manager, is one of the other games I played. So I did have a laptop growing up. We're talking it was an old school laptop. I'm assuming it was I'm talking it was this thick. It was a big laptop. My uncle refurbished it for me, and I was able to play Eastside Hockey Manager. And my summer job through high school allowed me to have a lot of downtime. So I spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours playing that game. And it's basically just Football Manager, but hockey. So at one point I was top 20 in the world in hours played. We're talking
wow. Okay.
Over 10,000 hours played at this point, and it's basically just me hitting the space bar and clicking buttons, and that's all there is to it. So that's my gaming history, and it's not exactly an inspiring tale to get into streaming, but that's where we're at.
So what did get you into streaming?
You know what? So I watched your previous podcast, and you asked that question, and I was like, what the heck is my answer going to be? And I didn't really come up with a good answer. So basically once every 5-6 years, I've tried once or twice to stream. And I again, you can put air quotes on tried. I would just hit the live button. I wouldn't have, any overlays. I wouldn't have anybody set up to watch it. I wouldn't have a plan. I wouldn't even know the game I was going to play. I would just do it. And we know, Twitch discoverability is horrible. So it didn't go anywhere, and it's super mentally tough to want to continue to do that if you just click that. So I would only ever try once or twice a year. Just fast forward to, I guess, just last year. I was like, you know what? I got a decent PC. I had just gone through a breakup about 6-7 months before that. And I was like, let me put some positive energy into something. just because I really don't have a whole lot of things to put positive energy into over the course of my life. So, streaming kind of became that. And
Okay.
it probably
Which is a good
would have.
outlet.
It is, and we can talk further in a little bit about like my comedy style and my personality and my work history and stuff like that. But it probably would have been another tale of trying it like once again and not going forward with it. But not to shout anybody out, but Wacky Jackie, who we obviously are mutual, and that's how we got connected. She followed me literally. It would have been like late February of last year. And all I did was go into her stream, and I didn't say anything about me streaming. It was just generally talking. And out of the blue, that she's great, and she followed me. So at that time, she had like 400, 500, maybe 600 followers, and the fact that she followed me, and I had like 40 followers at that point, and I'm like, okay, wow, maybe there's something to this, and I should just keep going. So that's kind of what kept pushing me. And then there's obviously a lot of support from amazing humans that kind of transpired after that, and it just kind of worked out well.
I mean, for having being pretty new to it all, I think you've been knocking it out of the park, honestly, dude. Like, your content is super entertaining. So you've got that going for you as well.
I appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate that. I got some thoughts on that. I hold myself to a high standard, and it can be mentally tough when I'm trying to hold myself to that standard. And we both know the highs and lows of streaming, and that how mentally tough that can be when you're raiding out with one person. Like, that's really tough.
Yeah.
Or when you've got 2 people in your stream for 3 hours, and it's just, that can be very mentally tough. So trying to keep going through with that. But I appreciate your positive comments, and I do have to give myself some props to look at how active of a Discord community I have, or look at my average viewers. For only having 430 followers, it is kind of positive. And if you go back a year from now, to think that I would be in the spot I am, to have good humans surrounding me, and have have this as an option, and you to say good content, then I would take that. So I do have to give myself some props for that, I guess. So I'll concede that point to you.
Well, I mean, with that point, I mean, I think with anything, sure, your discoverability is getting hindered somewhere somehow, saying like you only have whatever many followers, which is still a good amount. But the fact that, considering you can consider yourself to others that have 2,000, but they still only have 5 viewers per stream, your viewers compared to your followers ratio is absurd. Like, it's really that's a really high percentage for most.
It really is. And it's interesting watching other creators, and I'm not talking like just 1,000 followers, even comparing like to 30,000, 40, 50,000, like big creators, and just kind of using that ratio of like how many followers do they have, and what is their average viewers? Because you can find a 50,000 follower creator out there that averages 40 viewers. There's someone else out there that has 150. So it's very interesting to see that if I'm able to keep going forward and finding new ways to be entertaining and just keep building a community. And I don't really like the word community because I think it's overused, but if I'm able to keep continuing to do that, I like the spot that I'm putting myself in, kind of going forward. And I do want to make one comment about what you just mentioned as far as discoverability is being hindered somewhere. And this might take us on a whole separate trajectory of the conversation.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Let's do it.
But you and I have actually talked about this, but part of the discoverability that's being hindered on me personally is myself, because I'm in this weird spot where I'm not exactly sure what kind of streamer am I. Most of my content has been Fortnite related. I mean, you can even see like Omega with lights behind me.
Right,
so most of my community, and even like most of your community, and how we built a lot of our platforms, have been Fortnite related. And I'm too old to play Fortnite and keep up with it, and I'm super competitive, and I want to be really good. Like, I want to be Wave Defender ability. I want to be Lucid Ghost.
He's crazy.
Like, I don't want to be
crazy.
They're amazing. Like, I don't want to be Killer TTV. I want to be that. I want to be the guy that can solo clutch it every single time. Maybe die once, but like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I can't do that. Maybe if I spent 60 hours a week gaming, not saying that they're doing that, but maybe if I did that, I could. So transitioning my content away from Fortnite has been this kind of challenging, almost hurting myself, or this discoverability, because if I'm playing electrician simulator or something random like that, or gas station simulator, and I gain a
Hmm.
couple of follows from that. Well, those people aren't that likely to come back and watch if I switch it up and go play like Assassin's Creed or I go back to Fortnite.
Right.
So it's this weird, like, I'm in this weird spot. You and I even talked about this, geez, a couple of months ago when we were setting this up, as far as like, what exactly does that look like going forward? You know?
Well, I mean, that's kind of like during your intro. That's why I kind of labeled you as the variety streamer because I don't see you as a Fortnite streamer. I see you as a variety because while most of your streams you might play Fortnite during the streams, you do usually either start or end with a different game. Um, but I think even with that, granted, yeah, you're probably not getting like dedicated followers necessarily, but the people that stick around and are watching you consistently and your numbers show, especially for your size, that you're doing something correct with, always being in double digits for every stream, and all that stuff. Which, I mean, that's a whole other thing, how much numbers really matter and all. But
Yeah.
people come to your content for you. Like if I had to compare you to anybody, I would say that your style of content would kind of be up the alley of like Tim the Tatman. People probably don't follow Tim the Tatman for his gaming abilities, but he's an entertainer, and that's why they follow him. So I'd say those who follow you are probably following you for the same reason, for the entertainment aspect, and not for your
Yeah.
gameplay abilities. And that's the
I
crazy thing
assume.
between the two sides of either following somebody because they're just good at a game where they can not even talk, you just watch them be cracked, or you follow them for a mix of it and because they're funny and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I assume is probably the male pattern baldness connection that you made there. Given my streaming career started with, a relatively full head of hair, and I went the same way as Tim the Tatman and just slowly got to the point we're at now. So I see that connection. And another connection I get quite often is KYR Speedy. I've never actually watched his content, and I'm not that familiar with him, but
I'm not too familiar with him either.
one of my good buddies who's part of like the Futon Fellowship, which is like our Discord and like our
Hmm.
group of IRL friends that we kind of started this journey together. He watches him all the time. Like he'll go back and like dedicated watch his VODs and watch his YouTube videos and all that
Okay.
stuff. Him and I play very similar games, and it's funny. I can't count how many times my buddy Alex will say like, "Oh wow, that's really cool. Like you just said the same thing, or you discovered the same thing that Speedy discovered." And it's very similar content. Again, it's really tough because I'm not. I am technically a variety streamer, I guess, by the way you could say it, but just the stark contrast between Fortnite streams and other streams can be kind of drastic. Just given
Yeah.
the viewership, and then we can have that conversation too about how much do numbers really matter. And I know it can be tough to turn that viewership number off. I've never been able to do it. I know that was one of the first recommendations I got from people when you
Yeah.
first started streaming was turn that that average viewer off, but I can't bring myself to do it because nothing changes how I talk during stream or who I talk to or like what I'm talking about. But it's tough to want to turn that off. So just the difference
Yeah,
between
I
like a
get that.
Fortnite stream and not a Fortnite stream can be drastic at times.
Yeah, but I think some of that as well is the way that both of us currently are so integrated in our friends and other communities and other streamers communities that are and all for our streaming acquaintances. Like we're very Fortnite like ingrained currently with the people that we're friends with. So I in that aspect, I think that's kind of where you're tied down. Like I can see why you think that about your Fortnite stuff, especially with like I feel like there's a lot of crossover like with us and our other streamer friends with Jackie and just with the people that we come and go of just being viewers. They come for the Fortnite stuff typically, and when they see Fortnite, they're like, "Oh, okay, I know this game. I'll watch it." But you also kind of play some like a little very niche games that even I have. Like I feel like I'm pretty ingrained with just gaming in general. And there's games that I'll see you playing. I'm like, what is he playing?
Yeah.
That I've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
But even with those, you're pulling like crazy numbers of just your regulars. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's a bunch of different ways to look at it for sure.
It's funny you say as far as how ingrained we are in Fortnite communities. I just checked my top monitor and I got a couple messages about playing Fortnite of all things. So you're not wrong. And it's funny looking back because like Fortnite changed the gaming universe, it changed the streaming universe, like it changed so much.
But yeah,
If you look
for
at
sure, dude.
every metric when Fortnite exploded, it changed everything, which is good and bad. There's pros and cons, and that's a whole separate podcast episode we could probably talk about for hours.
Oh yeah,
But I remember, obviously, I was really big into Fortnite when it first came out, and one content creator that I really liked was Dr. Lupo. He
I
was
love Lupo.
you,
Fantastic.
you got the Tarkov connection, so I assumed you'd be a big Lupo fan.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I watch it play Darkov a lot.
he's so entertaining. Like I watch him play that, and going back to your comment about people will be there for someone to just to watch. It doesn't really matter what they're playing. I watch him for that. Like I don't watch him for Tarkov. I watch and I still have no clue what's going on. I know I've watched your streams, no clue what's going on. But I remember when he was just transitioning kind of out of Fortnite because that's when a lot of people started to get really good. And he was kind of in the same boat I am now. Obviously, he's infinitely larger, but knowing he wanted to change his content up. I remember being not upset, but just confused, where I was like, he's got this great big viewership base that are dedicated, really enjoy watching him. Why does it matter if he only wins 20% of his games compared to 50% that he was probably winning at the start playing with Ninja and a cracked squad? So it was this really weird, confusing, like I didn't get it, and then I stopped watching him for a bit, and then he went to YouTube and all that. But now, obviously, I get it through my experiences and just maturing in general. But I remember that just how confused I was at the time that he made the kind of content switch, but it makes a lot of sense now, especially the size he was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like almost a different world when you're that size.
Mm,
But it's just like you got. I think especially when it's your job and a game like Fortnite, because I'm not sure when he quit Fortnite exactly, but probably around that mid season 2, where a lot of people were like, "All right, I'm getting off this bandwagon and going somewhere
yeah,
else."
same.
I'm sure it was definitely difficult for people that size to be like, "All right." Well, it's probably easier once he got that YouTube contract because he knew he was secure. He's easily making millions off that contract. Where he was like, all right, no matter what happens, I'll still be my family secure, my life secure, and he can fully do it as enjoyment almost. And thankfully, because he's him, I feel like he has to be like one of those guys who's like even IRL, like just down to earth, like amazing dude. Uh,
He's gotta be.
um,
He's got the
which
charity there
yeah,
that he always. I remember it's the build for Cure, whatever the heck it is,
uh,
St.
yeah,
Jude's, I think it
yeah,
is.
St. Jude's, yeah, for
And
children cancer and stuff.
yeah, the amount of money he's raised for that is amazing. So
It's been millions and millions.
like that's the kind of people that you want to put in positions like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
he like if there was ever one streaming goal you could say that I would ever have, it would be to stream, not necessarily stream with him, but just know him or converse with him. Just because he's just genuinely, he seems like one of the most likable humans out there. And on a lot of, not to get too political or, too hot topic issues that are going on now, but of all the controversial topics that have come and gone over the last 4 or 5 years, I've always seemed to have agreed with him on things like that. So he
Hmm.
just seems like someone I can relate to and someone I would actually, that just want to be around. That would be one of my ultimate goals, to be honest with you.
And I feel like even no matter what his like viewer count is on any day, like there's time, especially now that he's multi-streaming,
Mm,
since that's all been lifted, and it's really just allowed content creators across the board at any size just to really excel again. So he could have 10,000 viewers, and I feel like he's also like he has his ego in check, where he doesn't even care about who else he's streaming with. Like he'll stream with Electra, who she's very established in her position, but she's not by any means a massive streamer. She very much averages like below 100 on most days. But he doesn't hold like, sorry, I'm streaming, I can't be friends with you, or I can't stream alongside you because you don't have those numbers for me to like. Like I feel like he's like the role model of like how you should position yourself as a content creator, no matter what your size is, and just do it for the purpose of enjoying it. Obviously, everybody's goal is to grow. If you really enjoy it and you want to make it your main gig, that's totally understandable. but like, don't be that arrogant asshole who's like, all right, well, I don't want to stream with you because I'm not going to benefit from you, and like only chase like the people that have the bigger numbers because people are going to
Exactly.
see through that eventually.
Yeah.
Like, be you, enjoy it, and the viewers will and be consistent, and the views will eventually come.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And it's interesting because some people are, I can see some people kind of be like that. And I've been extremely lucky with being able to surround myself again with great humans that, support me and things like that. But I've also, like, one of the big feathers in my cap is Kama, who's, a really large Twitch streamer, Fortnite streamer, and Bean Dip, who is another massive streamer. They followed me back to back. So, like, if you want to talk about large streamers and just generally good humans, like, they've both stopped by the stream, which is massive that you have such a massive creator that could spend so much of their time doing other things other than watching me open card packs on TCG Card Shop
Yeah,
Simulator.
right.
Like, the fact that they're spending time there is phenomenal. So, it's, you can go a couple of different ways the larger you get, I imagine. And I just, hopefully I don't go the wrong way, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, there's just this is like an endless rabbit hole. We could just talk about this forever, but I think in the end of the day, it doesn't. As long as you're enjoying it, even if your main goal is to grow, the
Mm,
number one key word is consistency, and then on top of that, just have the fun. Like, I'm no means a massive creator. I've been creating content since 2018, I think. Like, I've been doing it for years, off and on, just as a hobby. Taking your breaks here and there, but as long as you're doing it for fun and you or at least like doing it for the right intentions, and you're not just chasing the bag. Like, people will come and they
yeah,
see the effort that you're putting into it.
exactly. And that's a conversation that I have had a lot lately. I've been in a good spot again. Just the people that I've been able to surround myself with, they've sometimes asked me like technical questions, and I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, but I've just been able to figure some stuff out. So between that and just like questions about how to set something up, and how did you grow from X amount of followers to whatever I'm at now, and my first question that I have for anybody that I engage in those conversations with is like, what are your goals? If you're not an affiliate and you want to stream, what are your goals? Do you want to become an affiliate? Do you want to grow wildly? Do you just want to stream because you enjoy connecting with others occasionally and you don't care if there's two? Like, there's so many things, so many
Yeah,
variables that your goals could drastically change depending on who you are as a person. Because, like, using me as the example, I've been considering doing like a subathon for my birthday's coming up. I'm not going to tell anybody when the day is, but I want to do a subathon for it. But in my head, I'm like, I don't want the financial benefit from it because a subathon at its base is typically rooted in some form of like
yeah,
financial benefit. And I don't want people to have to pay for me to keep doing this when I'm probably just going to sit in this chair and stream or play video games anyway.
right,
So again, you're trying to use that as the example. It's like, what are my goals? And I sat down, I was like, okay, well, my goal is I want to get more followers, not necessarily to grow to make it my main gig, but because it's enjoyable. And if you have 10 people in chat and you're asking things like, book of questions, random things like that, it's just more engaging and more enjoyable. So my personal struggle right now again is trying to, how do I get more followers? How do I get in front of more people? And, we can talk about TikTok and all that fun stuff, but how do I make that happen?
right. Well, I mean, to dissect what you just said a lot actually in that. For at least my perspective, because I'm kind of the same way. I don't want to be the type of I feel scummy almost, like, especially like our size. Like, because I do subathons actually fairly regularly when like I usually do them like twice a year and try to
Nice.
or in there I'm trying to throw in like a charity stream as well. It's like, holy shit, I'm asking for a lot of money from people. But at least from the subathon perspective, I'm like, I'm doing this no matter what. Like, it will be during normal stream time. I'll do it like currently like Sunday mornings are like my normal Sunday morning streams for like 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, all right, no matter what, I'm doing my 3 to 4 hour stream. Like, that's not going to change. But from that, I want to say, if you feel like, I mean, I already have regular subs anyways. So I was like, I tell people the week leading up to it, any bits or subs that I get, if they can't make it Sunday, I'm adding to the timer anyways.
That's
And then
cool.
if they feel like it, then they can on this day. And then I have incentives to make it worth it to them. Like I'll punish myself in some type of way for them giving for them to be that generous. And I struggle with that a lot. And I asked a lot of people, I was like, does this feel bad for me to be doing this at my size and stuff like that? And they're like, no, dude, do it. Like, trust me, like just do it. People don't think less of you because if people your regulars know you and your true intentions, they'll be there to support you anyways. And just to make it clear that the as long as they're there supporting and they don't need the money, like the free support
Yeah,
is more than enough than any money they can throw at it. But also
absolutely.
that any money that they give me that I make through this content creation goes back into content creation, where I can get help making long form edits, like YouTube videos and stuff like that, or it comes back into like better quality for the stream and stuff like that. Like throughout, I think that just the transparency is like the biggest key there for getting subathons and stuff like that set up.
Really good content creator. I know I'm name dropping a whole bunch of people, so
No,
hopefully
that's
they
totally
all
fine. Do it.
hopefully they all watch and they're like, hey, you said my name. But a really great example of a subathon that went amazing, and I think it might still be going. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Leviosa Beans. He's
I think
mainly
I saw something on Twitter about it.
he's mainly a Fortnite content creator, I believe. He's just hit like 2,000 followers on Twitch, but he did a birthday subathon that started like 3 weeks ago, and it like instantly went to like 90 hours. Like it was
That's
uncapped,
crazy.
which was amazing. And then like he had all these goals, and like he has like 2,000 subscribers now, and he's just a really good human that absolutely deserves it. So using your comment as far as like if people are there, they're going to support you for the right reasons, and he's just someone that really deserves it. So he's a really good person, and that subathon has been so fun to watch because he's changed it to like he's doing the just sleeping streams, or he'll
Mm-hmm.
change to do like words on stream, or just keeping things engaging and fun. And it's been like 2.5, almost 3 weeks, I think, of him doing that. And it's been one of my regular Twitch checkups is I'll just go in, okay, he's live. What's the timer at? Oh, it's down to 29. Okay, 5 hours will go by. I'll check in again. Oh, it's up to 40 hours again. Like, what the heck happened? So, like,
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's a really positive subathon, and he's just someone that absolutely deserves it. And, I mean, me as a Canadian, going back to the financial aspect, the Canadian dollar compared to the US dollar is insane. Like, for me to
Right. Yeah.
subscribe to anyone's channel, it's $9.19 coming out of my bank account
Yeah,
for
that's
1 month.
wild.
So, like, we have a lot of mutuals that are streamers that stream quite often, and my main benefit to streaming or to subscribing to someone is I don't want to have ads. I want to continue to watch their content and watch them without having ads. Like, it's tough. I struggle with who to try to support. Like, even right now, I think I have like 7, maybe 8 active subs a month, and like I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, this is starting to add up. Like, where's that coming from? But like, it's a tough spot to be in at times, and it's unfortunate the way it is. But it's a whole economic conversation that this probably isn't applicable to the podcast.
No, but I get that on the personal level. Like, I'm not sub to almost anybody, if anybody, currently. Like, and it's just one of those things. Like, I think everybody kind of understands. Like, worldwide,
Mm.
the economy's tough. Like, it's just how it is. Um, and I don't think that should be a grudge that anybody holds against anybody for not being able to subscribe. And if that's something that a streamer says, like if like that, whenever somebody does say that at a medium size, they get clowned on Twitter, and
Yeah.
and then like everybody knows. But like, yeah, I think that's just something that people have to understand to a
Well,
degree. It's like you're not going to be a billionaire off streaming unless you're like the 0.0001%.
you make a great point there as far as percentages. So, like, well, I'll go back a second first, too. There are so many great ways to support people, and you mentioned it as well. It's like there's a bunch of free ways to support people. Just lurking is amazing, especially
Yep.
from the mentality of, okay, instead of having 4 viewers, you have 5, and is more likely someone's going to click on your stream and continue to watch it the higher your numbers are typically, and it's not too hard to jump into chat. But a follow is typically free. You know, bits really aren't that expensive, but I never want people to ever give bits or anything like that. So like, there's a bunch of ways to actually support and just be there. And if you engage in chat, if you join a Discord, if you want to play a game like where I have community nights, like there's so many ways to engage with people and support them. And
Yep,
to
exactly.
switch gears to the percentages, it is insane how challenging it is to make money at this. You know, people look at this as like a free ride, and obviously I'm not in it for the money, and I never will be. But using, what's the site? Is it Twitch Metrics? I think it is twitchtracker.com.
Yeah, Twitch Tracker, that's a good one.
It has a bunch of really great stats, but it shows you like what percentage you are. And to put that into perspective, me with 430 followers, with an average of like 12 viewers or something like that, I don't know what the actual number is, I'm in the top 1.93% of Twitch streamers, which,
Yeah,
when
that's
you think about
absurd.
that, is insanity. So I'm nowhere near making this a full-time gig. So to put yourself in the spot to make this a full-time gig, you are not exaggerating when you say you need to be in like the 0.000 percentile or 0.001 percentile to make that a full-time gig and to make money off it. Now, once you get there,
Yeah.
sure, you're making bank and you can be like Tim the Tap Man and buy a brand new Jeep Wrangler that you've always wanted. But that's so tough to get in that position. So you're not exaggerating at all.
And I think with that too, people don't realize that like even say that you're I don't know, let's say medium-sized streamer that's like in the low hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that generally across the board for like how people view it, that's probably a medium-sized streamer. Maybe very low hundreds or upper double digits. If they're able to go full time, it's probably not off streaming, even though that's probably what they enjoy the most. They're pulling in from like nobody is just a streamer unless you're that 20,000 views, and at that point they're not just streamers either, because they're going to be repurposing that content.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, rip, YouTube,
potentially,
we'll see, but like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram,
yeah,
OnlyFans, I don't know, like
yeah, exactly, yeah,
all the repurpose the content and put it in other places, and then say you're only making a few thousand here, but you're only making a few thousand here, but you only make a few thousand here. Over time, you're pulling a few thousands from different places. If you're just a medium-sized content creator across the board, that's a lot of money that adds up over time. So like, and I mean, I think that today is more than ever, like the ability for anybody to be a full-time content creator is there. All it just takes is time and the effort.
Yeah, there's so many avenues to get revenue, which I haven't explored too much myself. I kind of have, we used a lot of words there. That sounds super generic, but you said things like content creator and things like that compared to like streamer. And like, I don't really consider myself a content creator because I don't really make that much content. I struggle a lot to post a video to TikTok, mainly because I just enjoy streaming. Like, I enjoy playing video games, and I don't I don't really play video games by myself too often. I'm usually always playing with someone because that's more fun to me. So I enjoy the streaming aspect, but you're right. There are so many revenue sources that you could potentially go through, even just sponsorships or something like that.
Oh, dude, the amount of money some companies will put out into like nobody's really, when you look at it, it's like you're like, so the best example off the top of my dome for like a medium-sized streamer. So there's a Tarkov content creator called Jessica Zam and his buddy Veritas, who used to play Tarkov but doesn't play anymore. They have a podcast called the Pogcast, like Poggers. But Veritas said during his like kind of like streaming prime type peak thing, where he was averaging hundreds of viewers every stream when he was playing Tarkov, and he had he had some type of company reach out for a sponsorship. He's like, yeah, sure, I'm down. And they're like, all right, well, here's like a couple grand. And he's like, what? Like, for what? He's like, I'm like, when you compare like that, like the amount of that they're paying some streamers for like even just like a commercial space or something like that, to like something that for that level, that commercial space is probably it would probably get more impressions than some random dude on streaming like on Twitch or something like that. but like if you get lucky with the right people and they see potential or anything like that, um, it's just absolutely insane with like how much money you can make. I when I was 80 like 2021 when I was streaming to like two people,
Hmm.
I had a couple $100 sponsorship deal with a company that went out of business 2 months later. Like they
Beautiful.
just throw money,
Yeah.
and if you can grab those, then I mean do it. Like, but at this point, I also stand by like I don't want to promote something that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
So like I have TikTok like weird things like come thrown out. Like I had one like, hey, we'll pay you like pay you a $1,500 to do this makeup thing. I'm like, I'm a dude
Big
making
makeup guy.
gaming content. I was like this. I was like, you're looking for the wrong person. I was like, I was like, you're not gonna get anything out of me. And there was like a commission thing tied to that. I was like, I'm literally not gonna make a single penny off commission. I was like, I'm not doing this.
I say you're streaming to guys like me, and I'm not buying any eyeliner anytime soon. So
Exactly. So it's like, but like, if you can get to those like dream brands, like some of them will reach out and be like, hey, I think we see a lot of promise in you and potential. Here's like a little pick me up to help you along your adventure and your journey. Like that can go leaps and bounds for some people.
it really can. I know there's a lot of good tips, like scrolling through TikTok. There's a couple of content creators that I've watched that have really good like tips to what you should do when you're starting streaming. I wish I could come up with one of the gentleman's name. I forget his name, but his very like it's his TikTok content is if you want to grow as a streamer, stop streaming or stream less. Like that's the intro to his videos. And then he breaks it down and says you can use that time to what you've mentioned, repurpose your content. You can use that to go search for sponsors. Reach out to them, be proactive. And there's a couple other ones. I think one is Kat Liente, I think is her name.
Yeah, I
Um,
know you. Yeah.
and she had like I think it might be Patreon that she has or whatever it is. She shows other content creators how to reach out and gives them word tracks and to make them successful. It kind of
Yeah.
sounds like like a pyramid scheme almost, but she is not, and she's really good at what she does, and it seems
Yeah,
to
I
be
know.
successful.
Yeah, I think she's pretty reliable overall. Just
Yeah,
about being transparent, and
yeah.
I don't. She hasn't come across my For You page in forever. I do follow her on Threads, I believe, so I know she's still
Hmm.
active. Because I was like, did she just like stop? But
Yeah.
early on when she started doing this, like that assistant stuff, I was looking at her numbers, like you're nobody. I was like, what? And I was like,
How are you making
but
this
then
happen?
yeah, and then she was transparent with it and actually broke down her numbers in a certain way. She was like, for my content, I don't make shit.
Yeah.
But then she was like, here's the 20,000 things I do to compile my money, and I make this much. I'm like, holy shit, she makes more than I do.
Yeah.
Like with my full time job.
Yeah.
But it was things like she also had a side gig of she would make emotes and things like that. It's like there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people just don't see. It's like people aren't just making money off this. They almost everybody has a side gig until they can make it. And I wouldn't be surprised if she still had that side gig, but or I guess now her side gig is probably that Patreon helping people.
Yeah.
There's always something that you don't see,
No,
and it's just there's a lot of avenues.
there are. And then that leads it into like, how do people find the time in their calendars to do all this? Now, like,
Well, that's a whole other thing too, right?
well, comparing the two of us, like, I don't have a personal life. Like, I don't have a family to, that I have to go spend time with. Poor word choice, don't have to go spend time with family. People probably want to go spend time with their family, but like, I don't have someone that I need to go spend time with. I don't have baby Red, crying that I got to change a diaper, whatever you do with babies. I've got two cats. Like, I've got sister right beside me here, and like that's it. So like, my calendar's a little more open. So it's very tough for me to put myself in like your shoes, knowing how much more limited your calendar can be when it comes to not just streaming but content creation in general, and blocking off time to do this. And I know other people know they can do even more than that, and I just don't know
Right.
how some people do it across. They got their main job, their full-time job, streaming, another side gig, and I just don't know how some people do it to find time in their calendar.
Exactly. And I think that's something that people have to realize too is that you can't compare. You can never compare yourself to somebody who is able to do it full time. The amount of time that they
Mm,
have in their day is astronomical compared to yours. And then the time and the your ability to time manage is so important in order to be able to repurpose your content and grow and be able and be on every single social media possible, basically, because that's the only way to grow in this day and age. To just get lucky for one thing to catch on somewhere. Like I upload shorts to anything that takes shorts and vertical for like short content form type thing. I will have it get 2 views on one thing where I had 10,000 the day before, but then on the other social media site, that picks up and gets thousands within just 30 minutes of uploading. I'm like, there's no rhyme or reason to anything. No matter how good your content is, it can flop or boost. Like half the time, I think these shorts are absolute shit because I just clip something from my stream. I'm like, ah, fuck it, whatever, throw it up, and then oh shit, it grabbed on. I don't know why it did. Half the time, it's either a troll commenting saying you're trash at this game, like uninstall. I'm like, all right, whatever. Thanks for the impression.
yeah,
I just got 500 views because of that
yeah.
comment alone. And it's just it's things like that. Like there's no rhyme or reason to the reason why your stuff gets picked up by the algorithms.
I'm pretty sure you have what was it, like 15K TikTok followers at one point. It was something massive,
It
wasn't it?
was over 20. Yeah,
You had like an extremely viral video, if I'm not mistaken. I remember talking to you when we first played Fortnite
yeah,
together, and
yeah. That
I
was
don't. I'm just waiting for that to happen. That's the only thing that kind of drives me to want to post. I'm like, okay, just one post, and like you're off to the races to get that type of, going viral, that type of engagement.
yeah. And that's a whole another conversation that we could have too. But like, so just like a abbreviated thing for that. So that was the I don't remember off the top of my head. I cannot remember the guy's name, but him and his wife would make these content shorts around their baby and like a gamer baby type thing. And it was his wife coming in to how the baby was supposed to be in bed already. The baby had headphones set on, and he was like, "Oh, we're playing a game. Like, don't just leave or whatever." And then I was like, "Well, I want it." And then I kicked in my uh wife's at the time girlfriend bedroom door. And I was like, "I want a gaming buddy." People thought it was hilarious. Just caught on. And I got thousands and thousands of followers off of it. And at that time, I was also actually really good at being consistent with the trends. And I was like, I'll do gaming style things with the trends and the voices or
Mm.
whatever sounds and stuff. So my TikTok blew up over that time, and I was really consistent with it. But between being in the military at the time and that taking me away for weeks at a time, and being in school and trying to form this relationship that obviously went well, it actually ended up going to the wayside, and it was doing everything right at the wrong time, and where
Mm,
I had to let it die off eventually. Um,
yeah.
but so that's also part of the thing is like no matter you could be viral, you could have your 3 minutes of fame. If you don't have the time and effort at that time to really take it, and what you also have to realize is that some people get super lucky and they can take that and then they're instant famous and they run with it for forever. If you slack off for 3 days during that time, it's a ball rolling down the hill and you hit a rock and it falls off course. It's one of those things like, and so it's like you always have to be constantly ready for that to a degree, and like there's just so many different ways to look at that too. Yeah, I mean, it was a super cool time. To feel like recognized. Even my family went to I don't know a cookout with my family, and my cousins were like, "Dude, I saw you on iFunny," like and stuff like that, and
That's
it was
sweet.
pretty cool. Um, to have like the 3 months of fame almost, but yeah, that's a whole another thing too. On top of that,
There's a lot of luck involved, as much as people might
yeah,
not want to
it's
say
like
that, but
98% luck. I would almost say.
you got to have everything else too. Like you can't just, be unskilled at something or just not be engaging. Like you have to have something to offer, which is, why I've got like the Power Ranger helmets and like the brother and sister cats. So like just something to be a little bit engaging. So you got to be lucky at a certain degree, and it's, if you don't get lucky, it can be kind of tough in at times. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have your own ability to be able to create a brand on top of that, instantly. Like you have
Yeah.
to be like as much as the Hawk Tuah girl like now like scammed everybody and like she was a really weird thing that went on for way too long. She was like the pinnacle of somehow just grab like real seeing something and grabbing it and running with it, and she ran with it good, and then scammed a lot of people out of millions of dollars. But yeah, I mean, it's just like there's just so many different ways they can go. You could see it, and it could be a flash in the pan, or you can see it and keep feeding the fire the correct way, and then it roars into something of its own beast. Like it's just
Yeah. The timing, obviously, again, luck and timing go kind of hand in hand. And like a really funny example that just recently happened last week or 2 weeks ago to me. I had a Wacky Jacky raid with like 36 people, and then I think 5 minutes before that, I had a This Is Colin B, who's someone I know IRL, and he's got like 700-800 followers, and he's got a ratio of viewers where he's averaging like 20 to 30 viewers, which is amazing for that amount. And he's helped me out quite a bit too. But I had a raid from him which had like 20 some people, and then a Wacky Jacky raid with 35 people. And we were playing Fortnite. I was playing with Wave, and the timing, I was like, this is amazing. I got like 5 or 6 followers, like right back to back. You know, we were just about to hit a hype train, and I don't know what I did, but I fat fingered something on the left hand side of my keyboard, and it closed all of my windows, but kept everything open. So I could still hear the conversation, like I was still in Fortnite. I was able to pull my stream up on a new window and see that it was still there, but I couldn't access anything. So if you want to talk about timing and luck, I was like, this is like the best opportunity that has come my way in a long time, with 2 amazing people supporting me. You know, chat was going crazy. I've got a bunch of funny commands going on. You've got these different communities, you know, intermingling. Like I had my community. I had like over a dozen viewers at that time. You had Colin's community. You had Wacky's. Everyone's chatting, and I'm just sitting here, and I'm just like, hey guys, I don't see anything on my screens. What do I do? And I couldn't find anything on Google, and like I'm live, like the camera's still rolling. So like
that's
it's just a funny, like there was a timing there, and I feel like I probably lost it because, you know, but anyway, fun timing story to go along with our conversation.
yeah. I mean, like yeah, that's a no. You probably hit like F11 or something like that. F11 makes all your screens like go clear off your desktop.
So I know it wasn't, because I was in the middle of a
Really?
Fortnite battle, and only my left hand was on the keyboard, and it was something to do with Control Shift, and I'm assuming I must have hit the Windows key just looking at the keyboard, and
Oh,
I
that sounds like it
tried
would be
finding
something.
quick keys or something that it would be, and all I did was eventually went into the task manager and just expanded a program that I had open, which I think was OBS, obviously, and it popped everything back open, and I was just like, well, wish I knew that. But by that time, the game was over, and we were actually in a game with another content creator, Frantic, at that time. We were fighting against him
Okay.
at that time, so like it would have been great content. But no, there's just me sitting out in the open field, just getting hit in the face by an AR from like 200 meters away because I couldn't figure out how to run a computer. So
That's
there we
rough. Yeah, that's funny. I yeah, it's just yeah. There's just so many different like I don't know, like just different ways that things could happen.
go. Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Good
realize it.
stuff.
We just ran with that conversation for like over 30 minutes. That's crazy.
Not bad. As I say, that's what I do all day, every day. My full-time job is to talk to people for a living in sales. So this is just a rehash of my weekly schedule.
But like, I mean, we could to continue running with this topic a little bit more. You mentioned the fact that like time is like the biggest enemy of this. So I mean, you have your 9 to 5, you have your normal job, and you have a lot of availability outside of that compared to probably some others. But like, what do you do to like manage your time between work and content creation, but also like outside of content creation with your community and other people's discords and being online when you're not when you're supposed to be offline type thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to elaborate on it, but my first answer is how would I handle that, or how do I handle that is probably terribly, is probably the answer to as far as time management. But to elaborate on that, like, again, I don't really do anything outside. Like, I get home from work, my schedule is really good. Like, I can kind of roll into work at, relaxed times, like it's relaxed working hours.
Mhm.
So I can sleep in a little bit, and I like to sleep in. I'm not a morning guy. So I'll get home 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm immediately putting pajamas on. Obviously, we're taking, the work jeans off, the button ups, we're wearing a Star Wars shirt. So I'll immediately do that within 2 minutes of being home. And then I'll be sitting basically in this chair, and it's either watching someone's Twitch, it's either engaging in Discord. I don't really engage in a whole lot of Discord because I'm in like 70 some Discords, and
Yeah,
that's a lot.
that's a problem within itself. Is
Everyone
what
has
Discord you try to manage.
It's tough. Like I think there's 3 or 4 like streamer type Discords that I have with like no like only like all their notifications are on. And hopefully it's not coming through my headset or my mic right now, but like my Discord right now is going off right now because people are talking about the TikTok updates and things like that.
Yeah.
So like it's been nonstop pinging. And if I had every Discord I was in with all those notifications, it would be super, super, super tough. So I'm pretty good because I'm like plugged in quite a bit. Like I have my phone always beside me. Like it's here. I'm sitting in this chair, so it's easy for me to engage with my amount of time. And I think that's helped me or been one of the big benefits because networking is, a big conversation to have. And a lot of people don't do it correctly. And some people do it with the wrong intentions. Like use my stream yesterday as the example. You rated me, so thank you very much for that. But that was my 5th raid of the stream, which is unheard of. Like that's so many. And they were decent.
Right.
If I'm home from 5 to 6 and I'm not streaming, well, I'm in someone's stream that, I don't really get a chance to, talk to that often or get to see that often.
Yeah.
It's just super, super lucky that I have that time. And I definitely don't make the best of it when it comes from time management because, going back to the idea of streaming less to be more successful, if I cut my stream off an hour early and spent that time editing one TikTok that I could post on YouTube and then go post on Instagram, I'd probably be in a much better spot, but it's more about what I enjoy. So
that's fair.
That's the elaborate answer to my time management is probably terrible, and I could probably do a lot more, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody could say that, especially like if you're like a streamer, like that's your thing, as most of our friends are that we network with. Editing kind of just sucks, just to sit there and just to edit away, and because it's not fun. You're not doing anything like that. You're not doing any of the aspects that you really enjoy, and you're just sitting there by yourself doing your own thing, which it's the struggle that I've always had. That to manage that time and to be able to put content out is also like a whole nother thing. We could probably have another entire podcast on alone, but we are getting towards the hour mark, and I don't want to keep you too long, or just I don't know. We could just go on for hours and hours. I feel like
we absolutely could.
But to get this towards the end and wrapped up, the question I've been enjoying asking everybody at the end is if you had to describe your gaming setup, how would you describe it in the terms of food?
I didn't think you'd ask that again. I know you asked Bot that, and then you told me not to watch it because you didn't want me to know the questions ahead of time. So I didn't actually think that you were going to ask that. For food, my gaming setup, I'm going to say I would describe it as an ice cream cake. And that's not just topical because my birthday's coming up and I want ice cream cake and I like ice cream cake, but because there's a lot to it. Like there's a bunch of different layers to it. It's kind of crusty. Some of it tastes good. That's how we would describe it. We've got the 3 monitors going on in here. I've spent a lot of money on my setup, which again is, the benefit to being single and not having a family that I have to, spend money on. Again, poor wording. People probably enjoy spending money on their family. But like I've got like a $300 keyboard. I've got like it's like a $300 Canadian mouse.
That's fancy.
Ring light. I've got a $150 camera, which isn't top of the line, but like I've got a $400 monitor. I've got a $200 monitor. I've got a $40 monitor. I've got the Stream Deck. Like I just spent money on a custom mat that has my logo on it. The chair itself was like $200. I mean, look at all the stuff in the background. Like each one of these helmets, that's $100 each helmet. I mean, we got an actual motorcycle helmet. Just the amount of things that I've spent money on. So I would say an ice cream cake is the best fit because there's some crusty elements to it, but it's good, and most people I would say like ice cream cake. So that's the answer we're going with.
I like it. That's a really cool analogy.
Yep.
A lot of people enjoy the taste, but it's also a little crusty.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly how I would describe it. Not in like a weird way. We're not gonna like describe crusty and like the weird gaming setup. So like maybe I should have distanced myself from that word, but I'm not gonna walk it back, or we're gonna stick with it because ice cream cake is great.
All right, I like it. That's dope. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode so it doesn't go over too long. But if you guys are looking to where you can find Khiller at twitch.tv/KillerTTV. At its YouTube, just search KillerTTV. You'll be able to find it. Instagram, KillerTTV. TikTok, if you still have access to it, KillerTTV. And his Discord and anything else that I've mentioned, all the links will be in the description down below. Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really enjoyed our conversation. I'll definitely have to have you back again at some point because we're not even anywhere done discussing. I have a feeling. I didn't get to any of the topics I even wanted to talk to you about. So, like, that I had noted that I really wanted to cover as well. So it's like, yeah, I'll definitely have to have you back on for sure.
Perfect. Works for me. As I say, good conversation. Make sure when you post it to just post part one, and then we'll have part two later on. But I appreciate all the positive words. It wouldn't be fair to me to not have Sister on here at least once.
What's up, Sister?
So we've got Sister here. I can hear Baby Red in the background. So
yeah,
I figured you're probably right. The time is probably going over, but it wouldn't be fair because this is basically the only person or the only reason why I have any amount of followers is because of this adorable cat right here in the cat cam. So it makes sense to have her on here, at least in the outro. And again, thank you very much. Good conversation, and looking forward to part two.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good one.